Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. Tonight, we're going to talk about arresting justice. And I want to give you a little insight on what arresting justice is so you don't think I'm just talking out the side of my neck. What you see here, and I've shown this image countless times, is what the Americans look like before these shores start getting invaded, before they start being colonized. Now, most people that see this, they just ignore it. They don't really care about what it looks like. But these are what the Americans look like. Again, American is soul rich people. And like I've said before, who are known as the soul people. If you don't know, ask the brothers who was in Vietnam, ask all these people who they call the soul people. Soul brother number one, the queen of soul, blah, blah, blah. They're talking about you. As you can see, these people here know what they're doing. You see the guys in the boats paddling, fishing, whatever. And if you get this image, and you should get it, and you can get it, the Portal of Texas History, just type that in your web browser and this image should come up. Just push images and this image should come out because it's way too far along for us not to know these things. Now, many of us know this, but we just pretend like we don't. That's going to come back to bite you in the ass. And if you don't, and if this image doesn't grab you, now see, this is of South. This is of the North. This is on California side, where the Spanish is coming in with the Catholicism. And if you know anything about California, everything is Los Angeles, San Diego, San Jose, San Francisco. These things, if we don't get them, make sure your children do. Because your children are here to replace you, just like you are here to replace your mother and father. These are things we have to know. There's no excuse for not knowing. So if somebody drags you for not knowing, it's on you to know. What we're going to be talking about tonight is arresting justice, because these people that you see down here, right here in the bottom right hand of the corner, these are your ancestors. You are here to replace them. Not just them, but these people here. These are your ancestors. You can go around anywhere in the world and you won't find people that look like these, but the Americans. You, your mom and daddy, your grandmom and granddaddy looks just like these people here. But since we've been ignoring it for so long, other people have been come over here to make laws, codes, blah, 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 to erase you from the land. They even have the audacity to call these people black. And as you can see, they're far from the color of this guy's hair. Nevertheless, these are the games we get caught up into and trapped, and repeat them and pass them down to our children. which simply means we're passing them down to ourselves. Before we go any further, I want to share I want to share something with you what a lady says because everybody knows this. The problem is that most of us don't know it. And seriously, we really don't want to know. We want to know the score of the football game. We want to know who Jay-Z is humping and all this other crap. That means nothing for your children, just like what James Brown didn't mean anything for you. It's just the cycle we keep putting ourselves into, and we're the main culprits. We do it to ourselves and then arrogant about what we do, like it's not a problem. And as you will see tonight, it is a problem. So if you're one of those people who think you're from the Middle East, Africa, wherever, because most of the indigenous people here think there's something else. And when you ask them to elaborate on it, you get the always, I don't know. So I want to share this little piece with you. Then we're going to get into tonight, what we're going to talk about tonight. Check this out right here. The way that they've actually stolen the land is quite fascinating. They just created an overlay of zip codes, then they claimed them. But the thing about it is they can't claim your land. Land can only be passed from one sovereign to the next. It cannot be passed to a foreign corporation. So what they're doing is they're claiming your land because you haven't, and that way when you die, they can take it from your heirs. No, the way that they've actually stolen the land is quite fascinating. They just created an overlay of zip codes, then they claimed them. But the thing about it is they can't claim your land. Land can only be passed from one sovereign to the next. It cannot be passed to a foreign corporation. So what they're doing is they're claiming your land because you haven't, and that way when you die, they can take it from your heirs. So the way that they've actually stolen the land is quite fascinating. They just created an overlay of zip codes, then they claimed them. But the thing about it is they can't claim your land. Land can only be passed from one sovereign to the next. It cannot be passed to a foreign corporation. So what they're doing is they're claiming your land because you haven't, and that way when you die, they can take it from your heirs. No, the way that they've actually stolen the land is quite fascinating. They just created an overlay of zip codes, then they claimed them. But the thing about it is they can't claim your land. Land can only be passed from one sovereign to the next. It cannot be passed to a foreign corporation. So what they're doing is they're claiming your land because you haven't, and that way when you die, they can take it from your heirs. So you get it? It's quite simple. Aren't you a corporation? Isn't your name in all caps a corporation? You see how they do you. I mean, there's many other ways that it's done, and you will be notified tonight of what they are. So, if you are, like I say, if you are Greek, if you are a Hebrew Israelite, if you are Hotep, this isn't the place you want to be. If you are Christian, if you are Muslim, this isn't the place you want to be because all of those are foreign corporations. You have to understand that so your children can understand it. And like I said earlier, your children are here to replace you. This is just the cycle of life. I mean, we should all know it, but many of us like to pretend we don't understand. Nobody told me. Well, you're being told tonight. We started off showing you who the indigenous people were, and they look just like you because they are you. Now, we get all these people that you call black. They are there to wipe out what I just showed you. Remember, black is just to kill something. You should have learned that in the Malcolm X movie, but I know many of you are young and you didn't see it. Go watch it and check out how they riff on the definition of black. You've never seen nobody black in your life, yet you cling to that term like you invented it. Black just means dead. Black means to cover and hide something. That's why all your redacted documents are covered in black. These are things we should know. Since you don't know them, pass them on to your children so they will know them. This situation going on in Virginia now, and you know I always have the Accomax always riffing with me, letting you know that this is your land, this is your home. They just bring all these immigrants over here to make you feel like shit, like it ain't yours. And the so called black people only do what they're told, they don't do anything else. Remember, when you're describing something as black, remember, it's always a thing. Black is always a thing. It's not a person. When you have a thing, like you have most of the stuff in your house are things that you got from other places. Most of the 95% of the stuff you have in your house comes from other places. You didn't invent them. And what you did invent, other people have taken them from you, haven't they? So these truths, even though they are hard pills to swallow, you're going to have to swallow them just for the reason so your children don't fall into the same traps that you, your grandparents, your great grandparents fell into. You have a problem now, especially I get this from a lot of military people. And I ask it's just simple questions. Ask simple questions. And if people can't answer simple questions, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. If slavery, and nobody has been able to say, well, you lying, because they can't. If you were enslaved, how is it possible that you were enslaved and your men are in the army fighting with the people who have you enslaved? I'll wait. See, it makes no sense. Everything that they tell you makes no sense. It's a lie. And being that you refer to yourselves as black lets them know that you ain't thinking. You're not training your kids to think. Since you wasn't taught this, the people who taught you what you know means that they ain't thinking. Where's the Christian church? They're helping the Christians. Weren't the Christians the one that took your land? You're on their side. That's how it's done. It's done because the so-called black African American, the people who have been ripped from their land, don't get me wrong, there's other nations over here involved that are not you, that's taking over your land And you just la 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 la. It's for everybody, but their land is not for you. Explain that. When you have the Black African American, the people that refer to themselves as that, you wind up being in the place you are now. So arresting justice. What is arresting justice? What do I mean by arresting justice? So those of us who are trying to do the right thing, and believe me, there are hundreds of thousands out there trying to teach the truth. The problem is that they're shut down by the so-called African American or Black. So I want you to, I want to give you an example of how bad this is going on. Everybody that's listening, I want you to let's take a three state. Let's take South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. They're three states. Remember, states are corporations. Remember the corporation. That's why they call it the US, to make you think it's us. That's why they call it US. You got to get these things. They're telling you, we just don't get it because we believe what they tell us. Most of us do anyway. South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. I want you guys to look up how many jails they have in those places. Just those three places. How many jails are in those places? And when you find out, you're going to be like, damn. But they only tell you you're 14% of the populations. So this is what Bad Saint had to share. Can we stop with the Black Indian bullshit as well? Because it implies that there's a white Indian and subconsciously perpetuates the stereotypes that we're dark because we mixed with Africans during slavery. You see, that's why I like having these conversations on this channel, because you have people that think and look at it from the way it is, not from the way they're told. Most people, you can't have a conversation because they're not thinking for themselves. They're thinking for somebody else. They only do what other people tell them to do. No one says they're locking up these indigenous Indian people here at an alarming rate. Why? Why? Why are they locking up the indigenous people? Because people are starting to wake up. People are starting to wake up to what's happening. So all these people who are arguing and fussing and fighting, X them. You better understand what's going on, because this is a time, and pay attention to what's going on the planet, because you are connected to it, even though they've tried their damnedest to disconnect you from it. You're connected to it. You have to know. So you're letting people who drowned out your people flooded them out, wiped them out in wars, forced them from them homes. What you call Black and African Americans, they are assisting those people. Tell me I'm lying. That's what they do. That's why they were created. You'll see, you'll see that there was no African Americans in 1970. You ever asked yourself why? Copper Color Lifestyle say if we're locked up, we can produce and reclaim our lands. There is strength in numbers. See, that's why they have the males and females fighting each other first, and we play into it. What's that pop the balloon shit? What's that? Always cooning. Always cooning. We have a guest coming up to the stage now. Brother Jay, how you doing, man?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kind of late, so
Oh,
I'll
you're not
probably have
late.
to be brought up to speed.
Well, you understand what's happening to Miss Cypress, right? She'll be here in a minute. But it's like these people are taking your land, making you dumb, not know anything, so you can't move. So when I tell people African Americans ain't Africans, especially so-called black people, so-called African Americans, they get a more pissed off look on their face than other people do. Because other people know, other people have the capacity to learn that it's virtually impossible for a ship built in the 16, 1700s to cross the Atlantic Ocean during hurricane season. Guess who believes that's true? Guess who will scratch your eyeballs out if you ask them to explain that. Somebody, how do you travel halfway across the world? Where was the water stored? Where did the people go to the bathroom? Remember, this is 300 years ago. They don't know. They're black. Their minds doesn't work like that. What happened? Were they shipping slaves during hurricane season? Explain. They'll get mad at you, want to slit your throat because they can't come up with an answer. They swallowed, they sucked, they swallowed, and they begged for another load. And what that means is the information somebody gave you, the information that you paid to go to college to get, that's sucking. The information that they gave you, you took it and accepted. That's swallowing. Then you went for another semester or another year. That's begging for another load. Is there any simpler way I can put it? Brother Jay, what's on your mind, man? We just waiting for Lisa to get her. She's coming on, and we're talking about arresting justice. The sister is showing and is have proved to the people that confiscated her land, hey, this ain't your land. You don't have nothing over us. She's telling the truth. And so they think they can lock her up and it's going to be over. It's not. Most Negroes are going to run and hide like they normally do.
Yeah, these are exactly the way she described them to be. I call them sorry creatures. I'm sure people have heard me say that. But yeah, they are criminals and they do operate outside the law or anything that's decent and fair. So the titles appropriately placed, um, they're not about justice at all. Matter of fact, they're operating in a military. They have a militaristic stance. They're operating on a martial law rule setting, which even a Supreme Court justice even said that years ago. I think his name was Justice Story. He actually said that's a no law system. A sure sign of military jurisdiction is a no law system. They don't have any law. They don't operate there. They're outside of it. Not to mention, that you hear, you know, claims of, a secret government operating. You've probably heard that from certain sources. So they're not about operating. I mean, when you go into those venues, how can trickery be justice? They operate, they, they work with trickery. That's not justice. So they are what they are. They are defined by what they do.
Well, we see what they do, but I'm not really worried about what they do. I'm worried about what we do. And what I mean by we is the indigenous people of America. I mean, the indigenous people of America. How do you claim that you're somebody else from another land? Seriously, and arrogant about it. I'm a Greek. You're in college and you're wanting to run to another culture. You will brand yourself like an animal, like a fucking animal, to be a part of somebody else's culture. Now, I know many of y'all be like, yeah, they do what they want to do. Yeah, yeah, do it. But what I'm saying is, what do you so when you're gone, what are your children going to say? What are they going to stand on? They're going to be standing in the very exact spot that you left them in. God has said it perfectly. Insanity 101.
I
So,
was, I was just talking to somebody about that, about mental illness. That ain't no coincidence that she mentioned insanity. A lot of people suffer from it. And when I say mental illness, I ain't talking about just, dementia or Alzheimer's. I'm talking about mental illness from what they gave you by way of what you describe education or indoctrination. Your mind is just like the body that you're operating from. It could be made sick by what you feed it. And I'm not going to actually sugarcoat anything. There are millions of people on this planet that suffer from some form of mental illness based on what was fed to you. Now, I'll, I'll repeat that meme that was in the group where it says you're not, as a child, you're not responsible for the programming you receive. But as an adult, you're 100% responsible for fixing it. So, when you become an adult, you have to put off a lot of the things that you um, operated as when you were a child. But when you act like a child in an adult body and you don't go beyond what was given to you wherever it came from, even from the school system, if you don't want to know anything more than that, you think your learning stops as soon as you leave school, you're screwed because you have to actually seek to improve and better yourself. You gotta be self-responsible. You can't ride on the coattails of those that are out there in the form of religious leaders or politicians. You have to draw from within. And hopefully you're drawing from your higher self, not your lower self, which the majority of the people are operating from on this planet. Because if what I said isn't true, you wouldn't be seeing what you're seeing.
Your star from Aja Khan says, we try to be somebody else and they try to be us. Isn't that what I just said? Your children are supposed to step in your shoes when you get out of here. Unfortunately, and this is why I always say, stop saying and whining and crying about what somebody else did to you. No, you do it to yourselves. You don't, nobody take nothing from you. You give it to them freely. And when somebody say, hey, stupid ass, you get cussed out. Really? You have people coming from God knows where, coming over to take your children's inheritance, and you just give it away. This is the Black African American. And when you ask them to explain their position, they can't. Then you get those that feel sorry for him. Well, he didn't know. That ain't no excuse. You never know nothing. That's one thing about Black people. See, things can't know anything. See, when you calling yourself Black, you're labeling yourself a thing. People can't be Black. You've never seen a Black person in your life. Many will lie, as they always do, and say, yeah, I saw a Black person before. You have never seen a Black person. Never. You just do what you're told. And once somebody can make you call yourselves what they want you to be, they don't have to waste the energy to do it themselves because you're doing it. Doesn't that make sense? See, I'm trying to make sense here, guys. Trying to make sense here. It's simple. This is stuff you pass down to your children, and as they're young, their minds are starting to figure it out, like yours did. You tell a kid about Santa Claus, he don't believe that shit. He'll sit up all night looking out the window, waiting for a fat man riding a sleigh with 8 reindeer to come through. When he doesn't or she doesn't see that, they know you're lying. When they tell you that the Lord God and Adam made Eve, if they're astute enough, like you should have taught them to comprehend what they read, they'll say it's impossible for 2 men to create a woman. What do you mean? What do you mean 2 men? And they'll read it out to you. Kids that do this. Kids that do this. A lord is a man who wishes he was God. Warlord, drug lord, landlord. Shouldn't we know this when we're about what, 5, 6 years old? I know Negroes that are 70 that don't know. That don't know. This is the kind of stuff the information you have to pass down to your children so they won't be like some of these 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds. Useless to themselves, to their ancestors, to their lands, to you. But we just keep on playing these games. Copper Goddess says it takes the children to zap you out of seeing you Black. They know it's ridiculous. My grandbabies love their copper-colored Americans. You see, we have a grandmother who grandchildren already get it. But those of us who are stuck in those ideologies, I'm black and I'm gonna be black forever. Don't even waste your time arguing with them. Don't even let them go. Let them go. Because if they've been this dumb for so long, nothing's probably going to change. So that's the story of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Just the story. The story. They both died before they were 40. That was telling us, for anybody that was listening, that was telling us, and they both knew it. They both knew that they was out of here. Once you get 40 and you still a dumbass, you're probably going to be a dumbass the rest of your life. You don't even talk to yourself. You don't even ask yourself questions. You don't even have the confidence to speak to yourself. Most African Americans don't. Get mad. So all they do is get mad. So all they do is get mad. Can't explain nothing. Wondering why things are like this because you want it like this. Remember, it's football season now. How many lights you think are out now? Bad Saint says, my stepfather said he worked too damn hard to give a white man the credit for buying our Christmas gifts. Simple. See, I know people who dress up. I know Negroes who dress up as Santa Claus to fool their children into thinking this person looks out for them. Now, many people call this mental illness. I don't. I don't. You're just stupid. Really? To teach your children, and remember, this is about to go on right now. This is Santa. Copper God is hot. You see. So this is the kind of stuff I get. I love it. Santa, Satan. How can you not get that? Children get it. The so-called Black and African American. I didn't know. This stuff is right in front of you. Stuff is right. There's no excuse for not knowing. No excuse. So that's why you see when you talk to a lot of so-called African American and blacks, you see there's a whole lot of arguing, bickering going on because they don't know anything. Nothing. You think I'm lying? Scroll through that TikTok one day. You'd be embarrassed. You'd be embarrassed. You have people telling you stuff about your history that other people who wasn't even here wrote. And they'll use that as fact because somebody else said it. Don't they? Truth stands what Carter says. They often take a victim mentality. Don't that piss you off? And make excuses as and make excuses as to why they don't know anything. Can you believe that? And he's absolutely right. How come you don't know? I don't know. Don't know nothing. Nothing. Not trying to know nothing. Not trying to learn anything. Why do you think that is such a problem, Jay?
You know, as you're talking about that, another issue that comes along with it that actually, they say PTSD kind of like expresses itself in different forms when a person suffers from that. When you live below the poverty level, that does have an effect on you. Um, Considering that, you know, this system that we all, willingly or unwillingly entertain, when you're suffering under the conditions below the poverty level, let's be realistic, that does exist. It's been engineered that way, by the way. That also comes into play as well, in addition to the things I said about, mental illness. Because, see, I had a very interesting dialogue many years ago on a social media app. You know, it was called Black Planet at that time. Yeah, of course, they destroyed it. It was a social app that I caught wind of, I guess, around 2011, 2012. I think that's when it was on its decline anyway. And a brother he did say this. He says everybody suffers from some form of mental illness sometime in their lives. And I had to think about that for a moment when he said it. And to tell you the truth, I couldn't rebut what he said. He was on the money based on what I said earlier about, what you feed your mind. It could be made sick. So when you're misdirected, when you have so many misdirects, whether it be by way of education or by way of, the street, let's be realistic. When you're living in asphalt, concrete, and steel jungles, what you call a city, you're not really connected to nature living in environments like that. And depending on where it is within the city, that also has an effect on you as well, as opposed to, let's say, living out in the sticks or in the rural locations where we were most familiar with.
Hey, Jay,
Uh,
let me interrupt you for a minute, man. We got Lisa on the line.
okay,
You guys, this is Lisa Cypress. You know she's on here with me all the time. She's going to give you some information that you guys should check out. Listen to what she's saying. You on, Lisa?
Hey, how you doing? How you Mungabo? Halito. Um, yep. Uh, so I wanted to just let you all know that in my quest for fighting for our patented land in Virginia, I have been battling for over a year and nearly a year and a half now, just as far as the 51 indictments and other, I ended up in like 12 different lawsuits that I had to actually file because of related to what's going on the Eastern Shore here. Um, the thing about it is, well, first of all, Virginia is really bad, really corrupt, and I didn't really understand the depth of it. I didn't understand uh, that who was connected, the people that were profiting from the land, who that was, and how many different states they're involved in, and because of that, they are desperate to just like punish me, uh, stop me as if like stopping me will stop the patent, you know. Like just like me not acknowledging the patent, or not, or like I don't know, like it's gonna erase what I know now. 'Cause what I know now is crazy, but it's not that I just know it. It's that I've reported it everywhere. Like I've reported it to the IRS, I've reported it to the FBI, I've reported it to, it's all in these different, it's in 3 different state U.S. District Court cases. So, I mean, it's all over the place. So it's like, I don't know how they figured that this was going to go away just by putting me through all these different changes. They actually extradited me. They actually falsified documents on my home and dispossessed my home. What they did was they called the warrant. They called in my warrant to the DeKalb marshal. So at the same time, it was my home. They were waiting for me so they could take me to jail and extradite me to Virginia. You know, like I'm like, wow, you have no evidence. There's not a crime that was committed. Everything was done lawful and legally. And you know, I'm in the community having summits and having unity and community events and you know, going to parades and having stands at the parade and talking to the town clerk. The first person I met with was the town clerk. And she knows that I didn't know anything about any land at that point. I didn't know anything about these patents. I didn't know anything about the tax evasion tricks. They're trying to pretend that they're us. They got land where they pretend that they're family limited partnership and they're acting like they're heirs. They're acting like they're the Negro Indians, right? Nobody owns the house. It's in care of the person. They don't pay property taxes. They got a whole scheme going on, you know? I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that many years ago when I started, you know, several years ago when I started this whole, you know, let me repatriate the Ackerman. You know, let me make sure that we got our stuff together. Let's get ourselves organized. You know, well, you know, when I started that, I didn't know that. So I mean, the only reason I know what I know is because they fought me at every turn. You know, like they didn't want to give up the park, even though they were closing it. They didn't want me to daggone win the case with PNC and the park. And the fact is, that would have probably been the end and over, you know? That probably would have been over and out. I wouldn't, but because I had to fight so hard with that, I discovered a lot of stuff. And I reported a lot of stuff that I found when I was investigating for that first case in 2021. So it is what it is, you know? So they flew me back to Weatherville. They really don't. I really don't know what the purpose is. If you jail me some more, what is that going to do to the past? What's that going to do? It's not going to change the fact that all the deeds that are on the patented land are null and void. They're void. The deeds are void. Deeds are void. There is no competition when you're talking about a patent versus a deed. A deed is nothing. It's worthless. And that's what they are so afraid of, that people will, you know, do something about it. But people will. You know, I'm a very gentle entrant. I'm very polite. You know, I gave everyone notice. I quit claimed. That's only given notice because the real ownership is the patent. The quit claim is nothing. It's just really giving them notification, giving them records. That's all. It's not trying to get over. It's not trying to commit a crime. It's a way of notifying them that, yo, it's a deed. Because the way the quit claims were designed for the Action Act, it has a patent in it. It's not a regular Virginia quit claim. It has a patent in the quit claim. It talks about how it's being transferred from the Action Act to the Action Act. And for me, also if I have my lineage, my direct line to the property, right? So And also we gave notice in the paper, we put signage up, we sent letters to the occupiers, and mind you, a lot of these properties, like I said, the people aren't even listed as owners. They're listed in care of, like you would for your big mama, your grandmama's house, right? Grandmama, the house is heirs property, so it doesn't go to anyone. It's for everyone that's on that certain level of cousins or uncles and aunts. And then when you when someone decides to be the person that's going to be in care of, like let's say your aunt or your cousin, they're in care of the property, but that needs to be decided amongst all the family, right? So the person that's in care of the property, if they do it that way and let one person be it, then that person is listed in care of. But the actual family owns the property, right? So they're trying to actually configure those houses that are on the waterfront, like their heirs, Negro heir. What is Negro heirs property? That's Indian property. See, people don't ever talk about that. What is heirs property? It's Indian land. Plain and simple, it's Indian land. So, anyway, what you got to say?
No, before you came on, we played a video of a lady talking about land can't be passed on to corporations. It can only be passed on to the heirs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many of us are having a hard time understanding that.
Having a hard time?
Yeah, because like I say, we claim that we're from other lands. We claim that we belong to other lands.
Right, exactly. And that's what they want you to think. As long as you think you're a foreigner, ain't no problem, right? Ain't no problem as long as you're a foreigner, right? Because you can't claim nothing. Because if you don't know who you are, you can't claim what you have. And that's been the horrible thing. See, the thing about us is the kind, gentle Indians. We are very kind. It's not untrue. We're very kind-hearted. We do not attribute them the things that they can do. We don't have those. It's not in us. It's not in our DNA. Okay, we're not that ruthless. We are not that greedy, and we're not that desperate, and we don't live. We used to not have a sense of lack. We used to have a sense of abundance, but they made us fear, and they made us have a sense of lack, and they brought all those things over here. But we used to have a sense of abundance, and we used to have a sense of wealth, and we didn't worry about people being desperate and nasty and evil and greedy. That really wasn't something that we had a thing for. So and we still don't. We still don't. Despite how we're treated and despite how much we don't have, we still are not that way. Generally, far far be it. And but they in their thinking, they give us their mindset. So they think, well, what I would do. So they are all full of fear and they're full of desperation. But the reality is, when you lie and you steal and you steal and you stole, in order to keep what you stole, the lies and the stealing has to continue. It has to continue. So it's never like, oh, we stole the country back in the day from the indigenous people. No, you're stealing it constantly. You're constantly in a state of theft, criminal activity. And what they don't understand is people are gaining understanding of everything. They're lining up what has happened to us. They're lining up where they fall. They're lining up that they're not from Africa. They're getting all these things, straight in their head. And as people do that, it's game over. I have people that are acting that from all over, and people have learned about their history and they've relearned what we've been miseducated to believe. I don't know why they think that this one woman is all they need to fix in order to stop their problem. They gotta be kidding me. Because a lot of these women out here, these young men, especially the young women, they're rough. I mean, not rough in like how they look, but rough in just the fact that they're not having it. You know, they're when they get their mind clear about what is owed to them, it is not gonna be nice. It's not gonna be lovely. It's not gonna be polite. It's not gonna be, oh, I put it in the paper. Oh, I did an article about it. Oh, I wrote you a letter. Oh, I waited 7 months. Oh, no, it's not gonna be like that. Because if it was reversed and we had done that to them, you know what they do to us. If we had lied to them about their identity and took everything they have, and then tried to put them in jail when they tried to fight back and say, yeah, you know what? You stole this. We're taking it back. And then did it so polite. Took the empty, vacant houses, you know. Didn't take the obviously occupied houses where people were on our flat, right in the middle, smack in the middle of our so-called Skin reservation, so-called. No, didn't do that. Houses are sitting right there, right across the street from PNC Bank. Weren't even quick claim. Down the street, weren't quick claim. People had nobody that had owned, was living in any home. Nothing. It was all commodity property. Oh, but the oligarchs, the people that are all about making money off of real estate, oh, those are the ones that, oh, Severin Baldwin, he's really mad, you know? Really mad. But his own father was going to give land back to the Ackerman. He doesn't have that character, you know? He's flawed. He doesn't have the character that his father did. You know? He's desperate and greedy and scared and mean, you know? Retaliatory, malicious, you know? And it's got all these people and all these courts and all these different law firms under his control. But all the teams horse and all the teams men ain't gonna be able to make this work again.
So what would you say about the court system?
Well, I said at the court,
Yeah.
I've learned that the level of corruption, we just think that they always put lots in them, our people up. But that's the tip of the iceberg. These people, these courts in this country are so corrupt. I mean, I don't know how America is not great. America is corrupt, it's rotten to the core, man. Always has been. We just didn't know it. It's all a bunch of propaganda. Propaganda country. If you prop it up, make it look like everything's good, they tell you good stories. They do good daggone media. But these courts, oh my God, they're wicked. They're wicked. They even the rid of this position, the disposition that they used to take my house while they had about seven SUVs, Marshall black SUVs, to get me. The rid of this position was forged by a law firm owned by this daggone motherfucker right here in Virginia. Catamount Properties is owned by the same Virginia partners that own Bay Creek. And one of the partners went to jail for $1.4 billion of tax fraud in 2023. They sent that man to jail at 77 years old, a white man, for 25 years. Now his partners went around here attacking me, forging everything he can to take my house. Which, yeah, I had a lot of repairs that need to be done, you know. I mean, I'm really not upset. It's very strange, but I'm just like, because it's like when you're not wrong and you're doing what is right, you know, what I mean? It doesn't even upset me because I'm like, wow, they're that corrupt, they're that desperate. Like, they have judges, law firms. They have law firms impersonating Freddie Mac, trying to forge stuff on my home. I still have an active case, but the corruption is crazy. And just like this whole thing of this 51 indictments, these aren't real. You can't freaking daggone say, I haven't done anything illegal. You knew about this from every step. Yes, they took a picture of the sign in front of the house. The daggone no trespass. My every property was posted in the paper. What kind of criminal does that? What kind of criminal posts every property in the newspaper? What kind of trial is going to occur when you have no evidence? I'm the only one that has evidence. Because I didn't do you. Because you're accusing me of something I didn't do anything wrong. And then the crooked clerk never even dare go and transfer the property or post it or recorded it into record. So what happened? And the only property that had my name on it that's connected to Smith Beach Road, that property sold for more money than it had in decades and decades. And I had insurance on that property, a whole year of insurance. Okay, this is not a game. I wasn't playing. This ain't no daggone scheme. In order to know the rights that we have, they have to be exercised. In order to know the rights that we have to express them. In order for them to know that we are acknowledging our right to land back, you have to notify them. This is notification that I'm going through. It ain't easy. It ain't pretty when you're dealing with people that's corrupt. But it's part of the process. It's part of what is necessary.
So Lisa, what do we do so it's not just you? This blows up to where everybody's doing it. What do you suggest that be done with everybody?
If so anybody indigenous was to get behind anything, it's this. I'm sitting in a very, in a whatever 4x4 cell. I'm still in holding. I've been in holding for since Wednesday, right? I'm sitting on the floor,
So she was just cut off. I've been talking to her a lot, and that happens a lot. But this is what I'm saying, guys. Remember, this is land that is bequeathed to your children. If you don't do nothing to make sure they get it, it probably won't get done, because that's what's been happening for the past 150 years. Jay, could you go ahead and take it? I got to get this call.
Okay. Yeah. When you really when you get down to it, the way the prison complex works, you have a lot of people sitting in the prison that has no injured party to their so-called alleged infraction. That type of system is strictly commercial, and they operate the system as a commercial venture.
Jay, sorry, last time she back. Go ahead, Lisa.
I do have, they trumped up another charge against me when I put the sign out on the property, they now, a year and a half later, are trying to add a misdemeanor for trespass. A year and a half later, y'all. And at the time that I put the sign up, I already had insurance on the property. It already had been quick claims set like 7 months earlier, right? I sent letters 7 months earlier. I put in the paper about 5 months earlier or 3 months earlier. So, you know, and so anyway, and now the property was sold after that. So the people that they're saying is complaining of trespassing don't even aren't even caregivers to the property anymore. They didn't live there. They lived in New Jersey. They live in New Jersey, but the people that they're saying is behind this misdemeanor charge for trespassing don't even live at that residence. So this is how desperate they are. And I'm sure this is from Severin Baldwin. I'm sure this is his doing, because couldn't nobody be this ignorant. But anyway, so I have a misdemeanor court date on October 23rd. I have a trial date with has still not been arraigned, y'all. It's been over almost a year and a half. I've still not been arraigned, and I have a trial date for November 18th and 19th. So, like I said, it's really not going to be anything bigger than this to get behind. There's nothing bigger than this. As indigenous people, to get behind is our land back. There's nothing more important than to make a statement about the fact that we are about getting back what has been taken. And if anyone wants to get behind that, this is the frontier to do it. Most people that are indigenous in some way connect themselves to nations that are in the Virginia area, because Virginia used to go all the way down to Florida and all the way up to Canada. Okay. And our nation has patents that go to Ohio, go to Illinois, go to Pennsylvania, go to Georgia, Alabama. So we have patents all over the place as far as our chief of our nation. So, you know, we're connected. We're connected to Massachusetts. We're connected to Maine. So we're connected to Connecticut. We're connected to Florida. So, I mean, North Carolina. Okay. I mean, you need to, you know, be aware of that. You know, once you start digging into your true nations, you're going to find out how connected we really are. Just like in Alabama, you know, the fact that both of the nations that I, know personally, including Kerry, that they connect to the Accomack too. They connect back to Virginia because we're the Accomack nation. We're like we are the South, and we're this gentleman who's attacking me. Where he's the home that they claim is their home is on our capital, Washington D.C. That's what place Air Hall really is. It's our capital, where the chiefs all convened. Okay, where the chiefs. For anybody who went to the summit, any of the summits, and was able to be there on Monday when we did a tour. We went back to that so-called plantation. That plantation is the main village of all the chiefs. It's like the Washington D.C. of the chiefs. So anyway, we're fighting for that. I mean, they're attacking our right to get land. They're trying to represent me as a personal person trying to get it property for profit. I ain't done nothing since I've been on this quest to repatriate the Accomack and lose money. Man, I spent money on summits, rental houses, equipment, all kinds of things, on displays, books, artifacts, like you name it. I've only lost money. I've only lost money in litigating and doing all this stuff. There has been no gain. We're not done for gain. It's not about justice. And I'm not representing Lisa trying to get over. I'm representing as Lisa Rena Thanks, the for the Ethnic Nation.
Any last words, Lisa?
That's all I got. Anything else that you got to say?
No, I'm just hoping everybody's listening because really, she's representing you. She's representing your lands. That's why we always say do a genealogy on your people, find out where they come from. All these stories that people tell you about yourselves when they weren't even here to tell you about yourself, and you swallow it, you put your children 5, 10 steps behind you. So, Lisa, we want to say thank you, thinking about you every day.
Thank you. October 21st, I believe, and November 18th and 19th on Eastern Shore, Virginia, Eastville, Virginia, Northampton, Virginia, where it's located. And I know everyone, and you know.
So, baby, we love you, and you on our minds and hearts. All right.
Peace.
So you heard from the sister herself. She's been doing all this work, and it's like Bad Saints say, Indians with these big platform who aren't pushing this to the masses and rallying behind her are New Age Indian agents. As far as I'm concerned, me too. I said what I said, and I second what you said. See, all this stuff we try to get in, we try to be all these other nationalities and Moors and all. See, Moors ain't doing the stuff that this sister's doing. Hebrew Israelites isn't doing this for over there in Hebrewville where they claim they're from. Africans damn show ain't doing it. They're coming over here telling you you're not her. You see how bad we make ourselves look with the stupid shit that we do? Many will run and hide and pretend they didn't hear what she said. That ain't true. This is how they fucked your minds up. So everybody on this planet got a place they can call home. Everybody but you. Because you call somewhere else home. Why other people are taking your home. Jay, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna add to what you said with the list. You said the ones that are not doing anything. Those so-called black leaders that you see on the television set, they definitely ain't doing anything. From the Louis Farrakhan's all the way to what's the other guy? What's the other character? What's his name? Umar Johnson.
None of them. All
None
of
of them.
those are taking you away from what's really yours. I had a chance to talk to a sister today. She was in the NAACP. And so I was asking her, so how is that going? And she just shook her head. Now, she was one of these sisters that's always been an African, always been in the NAACP. And she's 70 years old. I asked her, how's that all that going? And she just hung her head in shame, saying it's not. And I'm like, it's not meant to be. And so, like I'm saying, teach your children what you heard tonight. Teach your children where they come from. Remember, take away all the borders of everything. Borders are meant to confuse you. Borders are meant to confuse you. Like the lady said when the video first started, they take these zip codes and claim the zip codes, while your land is under the zip code. You don't even look at your land. You paying attention to the zip codes. This is how you're always tricked, and then get pissed off because you realize that you've been tricked. So, Jay, any last words you want to leave us with, brother, on top of what Lisa said?
Yeah, what I have to say about it is that, just spread the word, let people know, for those that are willing to hear it, that you're not these brands that they kept changing over, different periods, or these identity schemes that they foist. Well, they didn't really foist it on us, but it looks like it was, but they did it in order to take you off of, put you off balance and put you on that sheet of piece of paper. That's all. That's all. That's all where it belongs. What's on the piece of paper does not reflect reality or the truth. It's just a piece of paper. Or that ID you got in your wallet, that piece of plastic with your image on it. It's all fiction. None of it is real. But they want you to, you know, say you're those things, whichever one they come up with, too. It's actually insane when you really get down to it. I'll land with that.
And one more thing to remember about what he said. See, they name you all these fictions and corporations that you claim to be. Once you take control of it and start calling yourself that, they don't have to expend the energy in doing it because you're doing it. They can go on, use their energy to pimp you more. Not just you, your mama, your daddy, your son, your daughter, and the land that you all come from. We hope we're going to keep giving dates when Lisa goes to court so we can show up. I know I will. Because these people, man, they demons, man. I know you think they judges and lawyers and they do the right thing. No. They just trained you to be dumb so you will follow whatever they say. And that's what we're seeing right now. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.